Donald Trump's supporters are not violent people.
Fuck these Democrats!
Republican men love to act tough, but they're not tough. They have de-evolved into a pack of little boys, bullying others on the playground until someone smacks them in the face.
I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
It is only ironic if you don't know the truth. The party that once stood up to Russia and fascists now licks their boots. Why? For a little bit of money and fleeting power. Because MAGA Republicans are snowflakes. They have sucked up to a self-aggrandizing fat boy.
But I am not unpopular.
A failure at life, business, and marriage, but a remarkable con artist. And his latest grift is J.D. Vance.
I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. He's leading our political discourse to a very negative place. If Trump is elected president, he has to be a much different president than he was a candidate. As a candidate, he was fundamentally divisive, arrogant. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Vance on the surface seems harmless, but that's not true. And Liz Cheney, who was the last gasp of breath in the Call 911 Republican Party, is again standing up and risking everything to tell you the truth. And considering the events of the past week, her life is on the line.
Well, Donald Trump, Peter Baker, is expressing support for holding televised military tribunals against former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. The former president reposted this image on his Truth Social account on Sunday. It reads, quote, "Liz Cheney is guilty of treason. Read Truth if you want televised military tribunal."
And once again, she's pointing out the 800-pound elephant who has promised to destroy democracy.
I just wanted to say, look, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen.
J.D. Vance has pledged that he would do what Mike Pence wouldn't, overturn an election and illegally seize power. He says the president can ignore the rulings of our courts. He will capitulate to Russia and sacrifice the freedom of our allies in Ukraine. The Trump GOP is no longer the party of Lincoln, Reagan, or the Constitution. She's right. In a nutshell, MAG is all about laziness, both intellectually and literally.
To dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption.
The Republican message of work hard and good things will come was stolen by the pseudo-Republicans who could make more money off corporations and special interests. And they were co-opted by the Trump crowd of, well, not very bright American pig farmers and the movement of hate and prejudice toward the weak and vulnerable. Liz Cheney was one of the very few who stood up for all Americans, despite her ideological opposition to Democrats. And now she's paying the price.
You think this is a vote about whether or not we still have democracy in this country?
It certainly is, and Donald Trump has told us exactly what he will do. He will not abide by the rulings of the courts. He will certainly appoint people to office, whether or not they can be confirmed by the Senate. He has talked about using the military in terms that really are fundamentally un-American, including here in the United States. So it's a very dangerous moment.
Look, it was obviously a very shocking and troubling remark for the president to suggest that we shoot protesters, we shoot Americans.
J.D. Vance tweeted right after the Trump ear attack that Biden was responsible, thus proving he had sold not just his soul, but his country. And these 2025 idiots are serious.
Trump replaces over 50,000 civil servants with hardline MAGA loyalists. The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution. Protected by the Supreme Court's grant of total immunity for official acts, Donald Trump orders the Department of Justice to arrest members of the January 6th Commission, current and former DOJ employees, and political opponents for treason, election interference, and conspiracy.
So it's obvious that Vance has read the blueprint for Project 2025, where Republicans are saying it out loud. If we lose, we'll trash the Constitution and seize power. That's exactly what Trump wanted Pence to do on January the 6th. Stop the perfunctory count of electors and declare Trump the president.
You don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Now, it's not said enough that 60 courts and judges, even Trump appointed, all ruled that the election was straight up legit. But that doesn't matter when the con meets the mark.
Are you proud of what happened here today?
Absolutely. I think we should have gone on in and yanked our senators out by the hair of the head and drug them out and said, no more.
Are you proud of what happened here today?
I'm absolutely stand behind 100% what happened here today. 1,000%. I think it's terrible how this election was stolen.
Trump selected Vance over little Marco and this guy because Junior wanted him, demanded he choose little JD. He wanted Vance because they can control him, and Junior's crazy.
Let's see which way the wind is blowing.
JD Vance is a mama's boy who flirted with progressive politics but found it too difficult to be a Christian and decided instead to be a new Republican. Before deleting all of his negative anti-Trump posts like Trump is a cultural heroine and America's Hitler, Vance fancied himself a blue dog Democrat. He didn't vote for Trump in 2016 and said this regarding Trump's reputation as a sexual predator.
It was a real shock when all of a sudden his hands were all over me.
This woman is not a show-off. She's just telling what happened so we can know it.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding.
But Vance has changed. He now calls these rape victims part of a Democratic conspiracy and these women money-grubbing whores.
You call it a ridiculous case. These were juries that found him liable for sexual assault and defamation. That's ridiculous?
These are juries, George, in extremely left-wing jurisdictions. These are cases that are very often funded by left-wing donors, and they're cases that are funded explicitly to harm him politically, not to seek justice for any particular group of individuals.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy.
But most importantly, Vance has said out loud what Pence wouldn't say. Trump is more important than the Constitution and the rights of the American people. Let that shit sink in.
And answer the question I asked. Would you have certified the election results had you been vice president?
If I had been vice president, I would have told the states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and so many others that we needed to have multiple slates of electors, and I think the U.S. Congress should have fought over it from there. That is the legitimate way to deal with an election that a lot of folks, including me, think had a lot of problems in 2020. I think that's what we should have done.
So it's very clear. You would have done what Donald Trump asked you to do there, not what Vice President Mike Pence did.
2020 was a legitimate election, and Trump lost. But should he lose again, they'll be ready. Using forces like Thomas and Alito and Republican legislatures in states that vote blue, they will 100% attempt to overturn the results and install this.
I want to be a dictator.
There's no denying that the country is on fire and who's holding the gasoline. And even those in Trump's crosshairs don't get it. Democrats have a strong bench with governors in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Kentucky, and Illinois, all of whom would destroy Trump. But instead, they play by the rules inside a game that no longer has rules. I love Biden and Harris. I believe they are honorable people who have done great work. I voted for them, but we are now living in an altered state with literally everything on the line. If I were you, I'd take a long look around and see America as it is, because that America could soon be gone. The civil rights of Americans protecting women from sexual harassment, or African Americans from corrupt police, or protecting LGBT from state laws against their marriages, and even the right to be gay, are all being defeated in states across the country. And that will continue.
And by the way, George, I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Republicans, who were once the party of Lincoln, are now the party of Ford's Theater.
Who's with me? Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, right.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donald.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.